Icy Hot Beats.
Alright, hey guys, we're out here on the range today and we're going to have a little bit of fun with this thing. It looks like an AR and a Salvo 12 had a baby, but what we got going on here is a 7.5 inch AR pistol, which we're going to be shooting 22 long rifle out of using a old surplus Air Force conversion kit back for when we didn't see any value in qualifying with 5.56. Alright, so this thing is purely cosmetic. Well, 95% cosmetic. So if that's something that's going to turn you off and you don't want to have any fun at the range, go ahead and kill the video now. But for everybody else, what we're looking at here is a 3D printed front end. Alright, this thing's pretty wild. So it uses an SLS 3D printing system. The only functional aspect of this is there's a 1000 lumen flashlight in the bottom. Alright, this thing came to be from a guy named Dan at SV3 Design. Started out making these front ends for airsoft guns. So I saw one of these a while ago and I didn't have any need for another airsoft gun, but I really wanted to try this thing out because I just thought it looked wild. Can you imagine that thing with a 20 round PMag in there? So I saw a post from him on Facebook in one of the 3D printing groups, and somebody challenged him that this had no value because it couldn't be used on a real weapon. So what we're going to do is we're going to run 22 long rifle through this and see if we can get this thing to melt. Now I have done some test firing and I couldn't feel any heat on the top portion of this, and you can see how close the barrel is there. So by the end of the day we're going to dump 60 rounds through this as quick as I can. 60 being the number because that's what my mags can hold. I've got 6 10-round mags for this thing. So we'll see if we can get this hot at all to the touch, and then once we're done with the range day I'll take it apart and see if there's any sign of warping or anything going on in there. Alright, so again, SV3 Design, supposed to be for an airsoft AR, but we put it on a real AR and we're going to run 22 long rifle through it. Now before I get too far into this, I did talk to Dan when that post was made and offered to try this out for him if he was game for it, and he was more than excited. So I'm really happy to work on him with this project. But just so you guys know, there's a 7.5 inch Bear Creek Arsenal barrel in here. I'll put all the details in the video, and we've got it on an Aero Precision slick sided upper. All right, the only other functional component in this upper that matters is the barrel nut. All right, and that is a F1 Firearms barrel nut. So when I first did this, I bought a different style barrel nut. Dan thought that one was a little bit difficult to work with, so he went and found another one. So if you buy these components, Dan can have these 3D printed for you, and they will fit your AR. All right, so this one is just a prototype. It's got a little bit more refining to do. What was really cool is Dan was super upfront in his email about what he considered the flaws on this thing to be. So I don't know how well it's going to show up, but there's a seam here. He's working on making this a one-piece design. All right, some other issues. You can see the flashlight comes out the end there and it's kind of free-floating. So he acknowledged that the system he's got in here for the flashlight isn't ideal, and he's working on tweaking that. You've got this door down here. This is how you access your flashlight. He's got an Amazon tack light in there. It works for the purpose, but he might explore later on changing out that light. And he's got the pressure switch routed to this button on the side here. All right, the button's got a nice positive click to it, no issues there. I will say this door, while I was doing the test firing, under recoil it can pop open because this latch gets wiggled just enough that it'll pop open. That shouldn't be an issue. It only happened because I was holding the gun up here trying to get it hot enough to feel it. All right. He also acknowledged he's got a tiny crack here from the door, so he has tweaked that part of the design, so that won't happen again. If anybody actually buys these things for legitimate use, Dan will make sure you got a good product. All right, this one is a prototype. I want to put that out there. And then the only other concern on this thing that some people might have is you'll notice how it fits the contour of the body here. The takedown pin doesn't do its job anymore because you can't shotgun this thing. That is the only thing that complicates cleaning this thing or any of that, is you got to pop both pins and pull the upper completely off. But if you can sit there and tell me that you're completely cleaning your AR without ever completely separating the upper, then I would buy that as a complaint. Otherwise, you're going to do it anyways, so it's not a real issue. All right, so I've got a hasty 0 put on this thing. We're going to film some steel shooting here, and then we'll try doing some mag dumps to see if we can get it hot enough to melt this thing. All right, so we're going live with the CQRS-75 here. Remember, any issues with the gun are not the fault of this, all right? We're shooting 22 long rifle out of a AR, which isn't ideal to begin with. And I'm not using like the CMMG, which has a pretty good track record for being good, all right? This is what I got on hand. The only cool thing about this is it uses a drop-in insert, so you can use any AR mag that you want. You can see here the 20 round mag, so that's the only good thing necessarily about this kit, is it can take any mag. I highly recommend, if you're doing this, get the CMMG with the proven track record. All right. Keeping everything wet today with a little CLP. Hopefully that does the trick, and we can get through some rounds for you. So, going hot. Alright, so you saw right off the bat there, you're having a lot of issues with the 22. There's no heat coming through this thing so far. We got 30 rounds through, well, 26, 27, depending on how many I kicked out there. But no heat so far. I would venture a guess that unless you were coming out to the range purely with the goal of melting this thing, and you had the mags to support it, that you're not going to get enough heat through here to cause your hand any issues before you run out of ammo and have to sit there and reload. And these mags are no fun to load. I don't know how the CMMG mags are. But so far so good on heat. So we're going to do up another 30 rounds here. I'm going to take the gloves off, see if I can feel anything coming through, and then we'll load up another 60. And as quick as we can get them off, we'll see if we can get any heat coming out of this thing. And you saw right there with the Beretta, 22 is a crapshoot either way, so having some issues there too. I changed out the hammer spring, I don't know if that's what it was, but we'll work a little transitions in here and we'll see how this goes. Alright, hopefully another 30 rounds out of the CQRS-75. No gloves this time, and I'm going to check for heat. You'll see this door will probably pop open on us unless I'm having a lot of issues and can't get any kind of cadence here. There you go. First shot that pops up. Man, I tell you what, you gotta love the reliability of some bargain bin 22 ammo. That soft nose is just screwing up all of the things today. All right, here we are, a couple hundred rounds later. Still trying to get heat issues in this thing, and so far, not feeling anything. So we're gonna try and get through a 70 round mag dump here. Probably end up being about 60 rounds by the time we clear out all the malfunctions. Lead nose 22, right? So I'm having a lot of feeding issues. And then the Beretta, for whatever reason, seems to be doing some light primer strikes or something. But we'll give this a go, see if we can get any heat. I'll try to hold the top as best I can, see if anything's building up. In all honesty, I would be most worried about this thing getting hot if you stored it in the car long term. But I tried that as well, and no issues with this thing. I think Dan's got a good choice of materials. Probably would not put anything on here that I wanted to retain 0. But yeah, you might be able to. It's not super wiggly. I can't really tweak it by hand too much, and it kind of goes right back to where it was. So if you wanted to put like a laser on here or something for 22 plinking, I think you'd be all right. Maybe even have some nighttime fun since you've got the flashlight in here, and then you can put an IR laser or something. I don't know, but let's see how this goes. Sorry, I'm having to draw from every pocket here. All right, well, the last mag's gonna be a no-go, but we made it through 60. Hand up top, only mildly warm, and it's a pretty bright day out, so this thing is pretty warm to the touch anyways, just from sunlight, but you know, it's not at all uncomfortable. I'm not seeing any signs that anything is weakened up at all. I think it's pretty solid. CQRS-75, I like to call it the meme cannon in light of all the high point shenanigans going on right now. If you're into some, I don't know, live fire or cosplay or something, this thing would be pretty neat. Maybe one of those Raider kits or something, it'd look pretty gnarly on there if you just had a pistol grip on here. Get your Mad Max fetish on. It'd be pretty cool. But yeah. It's fun to shoot. It's just you gotta get the ammo to work right, but you know, that's no reflection of this thing at all. So I'm gonna I'm gonna get off the range, take this thing apart, see if where the barrel contacts anything in here, if it's done anything to that plastic. Other than that, I'm not sure what Dan's gonna end up charging for these things. He's got to look through the process a little bit, and then it kind of depends on whether you want him to assemble it or whether you want to buy it and then put it on your own weapon or get the components through him. So yeah, I hope you guys had fun. I know I had fun shooting this thing, and hopefully you guys can give Dan some business so this whole thing wasn't for naught. Appreciate your time, guys.